thrilling victory this will be for the Heat. And what a heart-wrenching defeat for the Boston Celtics.
The scene shifts north, where there is little margin for error in Boston.
What an aggressive attacking performance from Rajon Rondo.
How much more can Rajon Rondo give? How much more can the veteran, yet creaky, Big Three lay on the line?
That's good. Tie game. Ray Allen drills the three.
If the Celtics have any chance, there is no choice.
We have the guys capable to win games. You know, we just got to make sure we execute down the stretch.
They must give more. After an epic Game 2 seesaw showdown, a crucial test awaits for the home team. Heat. Celtics. Game 3 is next on ESPN. The city overflows with history. The franchise. The NBA's most storied. A new challenge awaits the green and white. To come back against two of the league's most dominant players. From the Back Bay to the Fens to the hallowed halls of Cambridge. Boston is behind you. Celtics and Heat, Game 3 is next on ESPN.
Rondo hits it again. How many jump shots has he knocked down? Wade, nice through the defense. The Heat survive in a thriller.
Find a way. A cliche to be sure. Miami did. Now Boston must. Can a signature effort
Just a brilliant performance from Rondo.
really be negated by a hot hand and cold slaps of fate? Does shaking off the first gut punch and fighting back deserve another flurry of athletic blows? The Celtics are home now in the hopeful embrace of their partisans, who will have but one small request: somehow find a way.
Night's game. I'm not going to editorialize. I'm just going to give you some facts. In Game 2, the Celtics were whistled for 15 more fouls, giving the Heat a plus 18 margin in the free throw department. They are plus 20 for the series.
Michael, we've been talking about whose bench will step up. Well, so far it's been all Miami. They have outscored Boston's bench 41-21 in this series.
Magic, you can appreciate great point guard play, and that's what we saw in Game 2 from Rajon Rondo. 44 points and 10 assists, the first player in Celtics history to record a 40-point, 10-assist game in the playoffs. Still, wasn't enough.
Well, they did do a better job on LeBron and Wade in Game 2. They were less efficient from the field, shooting only 15 for 35, but they did combine for 25 of 35 free throws. LeBron with 2 straight 30-point, 10-rebound games. Without Chris Bosh, who's still sidelined with that abdominal injury, LeBron and Dwayne Wade have put up some big numbers in the paint together. They were an almost perfect 16 of 18 inside the paint in Game 1 and 10 of 19 in Game 2. They've also combined for 50 free throw attempts in the series. That's the exact number that Boston has as a team in the series.
Wade and his Heat back on the road. And a big game coming up tonight for the Boston Celtics in front of their raucous crowd. Tip-off shortly after 8:30 Eastern. Our coverage begins at 7:30 Eastern.
Again.
Right.
So what now? If they take Rondo away, where does Boston go? We talked about this chess match. You guys talk about how playoff basketball is that. Where does Boston
Well, Magic
go?
said Pierce. And Pierce has got to be the guy. I mean, you remember a few years back, he and LeBron James had one of the great. Well, you've been on it from day one. You're not convinced this team has a killer mentality.
I'm not.
We didn't even see it last year. And look, this year's team is not as good as last year's team.
No.
I think we all buy into that. This is not, certainly without Bosh,
I'm
they're
not
not.
sure about that now.
You think without Bosh,
I
they're
expect
even better?
Bosh to be back for the finals. So throwing
Okay, so
in
are
Bosh,
they better?
I think Dwayne and LeBron are playing as a tandem better than they have since they've been together.
But as a full
and the role players are stepping up lately.
They've
the
been
last
playing great.
4 or 5 games.
Since they were down 2-1, they're playing very good basketball. But mentally, I don't believe they have it. And I just
They have not, as great as these players are, they have yet to sweep an opponent. You know, last year, every series went 5 until they got to the finals and lost. This year, they're 5 games in the first round, 6 with Indiana. I think they probably lose tonight and still close them out in 5 or 6.
But you're talking about they've never swept him.
And then there's LeBron James, who has started reading his 6th book of the playoffs this morning. Mockingjay, the 3rd book of the Hunger Games trilogy. Wow. We got a few more chapters left in this show. You get it? Get it, pun intended? Stick with us. LeBron, we got to find out what LeBron is doing here. Everybody read. The Miami Heat, 7-0 all time when leading 2-0 in a playoff series. Irvin said Mario Chalmers was his X factor in Game 2, and he came up with a huge 22-point performance. One of the Heat role players that brought Game 2 home. And now, we've set it up for you now. Pivotal Eastern Conference Finals Game 3 in a city very accustomed to hosting big basketball games in June. Earlier, we caught up with a guy who is also no stranger to big games.
They're together as a team, and they stick to their game. They stick to their principles, they stick to their beliefs. And, you know, this is the kind of team where if you beat them, you get a win. It's like you know you work for it. You know, it's not one of those games you can come in and say, oh, you know, we got this tonight. Every time you play them, whatever it's a preseason, you got to work for it.
An iconic franchise with rafters draped with the memories of champions past. A history of the game dotted with green and white. Now, Boston, the moment is yours again. A chance to add to a storied chapter or fade against a dynamic duo. Heat, Celtics, Game 3 is next on ESPN.
Is this the night the Miami Heat show a killer instinct a lot of people don't think they yet have? Or is Boston going to get Game 3 against LeBron James and the Heat and then set up what could be a drama-filled Game 4? Irvin, do you expect the Celtics to be able to at least just sort of contain Wade and James?
To me, it goes back to the Pacer series, JB, when I was hollering, LeBron had to go back to his Cleveland days in Indianapolis for them to win. Matter of fact, he did that, 40 points that night. I think he has to do the same thing in Game 3 here tonight. He has to go back to that Cleveland mentality. He's used to playing big games in Boston Garden. He can pull it off, so he should be the leader and pull off a big game. If he can do that, I think the Heat win.
Well, the way these two are playing together over the last 5 games is as good as they've played since they've been together. And this is not an indictment of Chris Bosh not being there, but it makes a difference.
Welcome to Boston. We're at the TD Garden. The crowd is certainly fired up for Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals. After 2 victories in Miami, the Heat now on the road as we look at the state of the playoffs, brought to you by State Farm. Meanwhile, Boston hoping to do the same thing that Oklahoma City did last night before a raucous crowd, the Thunder with an impressive win. And now San Antonio's lead is 2-1. The Celtics hoping for the same result tonight before a sold-out crowd here in Boston, Massachusetts. LeBron James and the Heat impressive in their 2 wins. A thriller in overtime in Game 2 for Dwayne Wade and his teammates as we look at the starting lineups for tonight. And for Miami, certainly James and Wade were terrific. Mario Chalmers, what a strong game he had in Game 2. For Boston, Pierce and Garnett playing huge minutes, as did Ray Allen, all 43+. Did it take a lot out of the Celtics? Well, they did have a day of rest. Let's see what it does. One of the discussions after that gut-wrenching loss, Jeff, was, boy, that's a demoralizing loss. But there's no way the Celtics are carrying that in. This team's been through too many things.
The Celtics have too much pride, too much experience to be demoralized. Now, whether they have enough to win and enough energy to regenerate, we'll see. But it won't be because of their mental state. When Mario Chalmers gives them that consistent third option offensively, they become very difficult to stop. And right there, Chalmers on the advance to LeBron James. And that's either got to be a harder foul to prevent the 3. Well, Chalmers with another good pick-and-roll play. Good cut by James. And again, Steamsma is getting split on those pick-and-rolls. And Ray Allen takes his second foul.
Remaining.
And see, Steamsma's too far away from the body of the screener, Joel Anthony. LeBron James taking nothing for granted, comes on the first bus to get his work in, and it is paid off. Knocking in jumper after jumper, 16 points already. Miami up 3 in a high-scoring first quarter.
Off to a terrific start with 16 points, knocking down jumpers, including some three-pointers. But the Celtics bounce back. They go on an 8-0 run the last 2:15. Paul Pierce was strong. Boston by 2.
Where is the transition? It wasn't really even that quick of an assault on the basket. You can't.
Boston Celtics back home after losing the first 2. What a first-half performance at both ends of the floor. Halftime of Game 3. Celtics by 13.
After picking up the dribble is such a weapon because almost everyone reacts after the dribble is picked up. That's great.
Rajon Rondo not scoring, certainly at the pace from Game 2, but orchestrating a terrific Celtic offense. 10 assists. Boston by 22 after 3.
Well, you see Wade on the attack. Garnett's trailing the play, having to guard a shooter. No help. Wade all the way to the rim, and then confusion in their half-court defense. Mike Miller gets a 3, and then again, the semi-transition. Mike Miller, born shooter. Well, Garnett again out on the perimeter, guarding LeBron James in that possession, which opened up the huge driving gap. Chalmers did a good job of creating.
Floor now 7-1 in the playoffs. Final score, Celtics 101, the Heat 91. Up next on ESPN Sports Center. Much more coming up on post-game reaction. So for Jeff Van Gundy, Doris Burke, and our entire ESPN crew, Mike Green saying we'll see you shortly coming up on Sports Center.